The Ethereum Bitcoin pairing chart has been historically very relevant in judging where the greater cryptocurrency landscape is at in terms of its market cycle. With that said, welcome back to EllioTrades channel. I'm your host Krown again today with a big focus on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, of which we've been following up on this chart for the past probably like 3 months now since we started doing these videos on this channel, and we'll have a big focus on Ethereum in general in this video and then do some quick fire altcoin analysis. I want to once again encourage you to let me know in the comment section below what sort of alts you want to look at, what's compelling to yourself, and if you find this content valuable, you might even consider liking the old video there on the YouTubes. And if I do so say myself, if you are interested in a daily Bitcoin analysis, if you think that might be useful to your life, I do exactly that on my channel, where you can find another link in the description below. So let's jump into it right now, starting off with this chart. So first, let me explain why it is relevant, not just for the pairing at hand, but for the greater cryptocurrency market. And we're going to take everything off except for quite literally just the line chart represented in the cyan color right here as the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing. Again, we're looking at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So what I'm now going to do is overlay a Bitcoin chart in the background in the orange scale. So Bitcoin's orange, Ethereum Bitcoin is cyan. We're going to put this on log scale. And just judging them without a correlation coefficient, I think pair of eyes are going to do fine just for this purpose. We do see both having a great correlation with each other, specifically on the macro trending schedule with Ethereum Bitcoin, that is. Meaning that when Ethereum Bitcoin is in an uptrend, meaning it has higher highs and higher lows, so is Bitcoin, and by extension, the greater cryptocurrency market. And vice versa for the opposite. When Ethereum Bitcoin is having lower highs, for example, right here, which I'll just mark off, whoopsies. Actually, that just got very convoluted, but I'm referring to this high right here and this high right here. So we have our high, a lower high, and lower low, and lower low. So with that in mind, we do see obviously Bitcoin top out about that time as well. And you can see once the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing chart over here put in its first higher low and higher high, what did Bitcoin do? Basically broke its $20,000 all-time high and went on its last major run. Of course, we can go through several more examples of this within the history of it, but I will let you do that on your own. And with that, or just reference one of the past videos that we've done, because we've gone over this a few times now. So I'm going to get rid of that chart. That's why it's relevant. That's why I pay attention to it, not just because, it does give you insight as to which pair is stronger than the other ones. In this case, Ethereum would be the stronger pairing. And what we're going to do is we're going to put back on our drawing tools. We're going to put it on hollow candles. And I just want to focus on what's going on over here. Okay, so we spoke about this chart about 3 months ago. We highlighted it as one of the more interesting charts long-term, and then we've been following up on it in the past months here as it does essentially prove itself over time. And whenever you're looking at a chart like this, a very obvious chart, these are the ones worth paying attention to. Usually in my experience, the best trades are the most obvious ones. Just it's an unfortunate, unsexy fact of trading. If it's obvious, typically it's going to be good. That doesn't necessarily mean that everyone, is looking at the same thing, but obvious should be good for the most part. And what do we have right here? We have a continuation of our prior reaccumulation formation. So we had an ascending triangle right here, which I can draw on very briefly just for a second. Something like this. Boom, boom, boom. There's your ascending triangle. Again, don't let that term confuse you or scare you. It just means that buyers are getting more aggressive within a consolidation, while sellers are losing and waning in their power with each and every successful pass of the topside supply zone. And well, as it would have, we do have a breakout to the upside of it. And there is a technical target to be made from a formation like this at about 9.4 to 9.5 million Satoshis. We almost got up there on the second drive after the first breakout above the prior breakout trend line at 7.7 million Satoshis. And now got our first retest of the breakout trend line, which is, this is very common stuff. Typically your first pullback after the breakout is usually, and I won't say always, but usually a buy, assuming that you get something like this, clean and clear. That's what we like. We like clean. In this case, this is about as clean as it gets, as I referenced on my Twitter earlier with this exact chart as I follow up on it there. So this does imply that this chart is bullish and in a trending format as long as it remains above the 7.75 million Satoshi region. So again, recognize this right here. When you see a breakout above a very clear and well-defined boundary like this, and then it comes back down and retests, and you have a result like this, very, very good. Admittedly, we do have one more day, a little bit more than one more day actually, in the trading week to go. And we are on a weekly chart right here. So what does that mean? That means that barring any sort of a catastrophic close tomorrow for the weekly, which is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or just 000 UTC, of course, below, let's call it 8 million Satoshis, this is looking quite good. And I would still be looking as the technical target as relevant, and long term, we very likely look upwards from there, because recognize that this was a macro base. This was a macro accumulation between September 2018, resolved in April 2021, and this is just your first reaccumulation after that major, massive breakout. I want to just briefly reference this as well right here. We do have hidden bullish evidence on weekly RSI, similar to what we had back on over here in December, actually, and playing out even a trend line from there. And that was in reference to this move from what was this? 2,643,000 Satoshis, basically up to where we're at now. We got the same signal over here. And of course, volatility representing the dispersion of returns came from extreme lows right here, which you expect in a nice healthy consolidation, and expanding alongside the breakouts. So this is about as textbook as you can get. So whilst I would be looking for the measured move to be hit at about 9.5 million Satoshis, very likely does continue onwards and forwards from there over time, over the next few months here, towards the 0.115 region, maybe even the 14 million Satoshi region. Again, we want to follow up on this and not really get too ahead of ourselves. Most importantly, and this is always how I want to differentiate the content on this channel versus other channels, is there needs to be an invalidation, because trading and analysis is always a non-zero probability game, and a game of statistics, in the sense that, weird things can happen, and you need to have an area, or at least I need to be able to express an area where this whole trade idea does go out the wayside. And that is, quite simply put, on a weekly closure or even daily closure below 7.7 million Satoshis. So what does that mean for the US dollar price? Or first off, what does this mean in relationship to the Bitcoin chart that we overlaid before? Well, if this chart is quite literally making new highs on this current rally right here, then it can obviously by definition not have lower highs and lower lows, which is our conditions, historically speaking, for a Bitcoin and by extension the rest of the cryptocurrency market reversal. So for right now, this is a good sign for the long term. This does not mean, I want to be very specifically clear about this, this does not mean that Bitcoin cannot come down to $43,000 or $44,000 as we've been speaking about this prior week. Still very much a real possibility, but as long as Bitcoin remains in a weekly uptrend, which is going to be had by simply remaining above $40,000 on a weekly closing basis, that holds true, and we're thinking very long term here, months down the road. So let's go over to Ethereum's chart, and this one's rather interesting today. The reason why I say that is because we have a tale of two ranges going on right here. If you're bullish, you're looking at this as potentially a higher low, which obviously is the first condition necessary and needed in order to perform a reversal. Here's the problem though. In order to fully confirm a reversal, not just have it possible, but actually confirm it and get quite bullish on something like this, we need a higher high. And in this case, that still is going to imply the 4150 area right here is absolutely critical. The exact same area where we said, we'd probably get a rejection from the other day, which we did, is still very much relevant right here. So I would mark that area off, again, 4150. If Ethereum can close above there, I would be looking for it to go on quite a nice run all the way back towards 4450 to 4500 or so, and probably even beyond from there over time. To some more impressive, crazy numbers, maybe in the 5,000s, again, weeks down the road, obviously, but it all really hinges upon, again, this area right here. Need to see that one taken out. Above there on a daily closure, things start to look good. Until then, still the same range as before, and not very helpful, I do understand, but that's the unfortunate or very unsexy reality of trading. Is a lot of the time you're just, you're waiting for your signals, and it should be obvious, it should be very tangible, and it should be, well, in some cases boring. So in this case, we're looking at the same thing here. Below 3675, obviously very bad. Even below 3,700 on a daily close, that very likely does perform a range resolution with tests back down towards 34 to 3,500. By the same token, above 4,150 on a daily closure, great. We're very likely looking back up to the mid 4,000s on the next move. And then longer term, we can start to talk about 5,000 plus again, very much relevant. Anyways, I will let go of that right there, but we can see that several indicator signals are starting to build up. So let's go down the list here and let's call out some of the more interesting altcoins. We're going to go over to Solana, very similar one over here in comparison to Ethereum in the sense that, hey, we hit our level from the other day based off of the bounce from, our support level right here, just trading range to range, just very, very simple stuff, very effective, takes a little bit of patience, but hey, there you go. But still, as long as this thing's closing below $200 or let's call it 198. It's technically 198, but $200 just easier to say. Don't really have anything new to be looking at right here. By the same token, below 150, big problems. Very likely looking towards moves towards 130 on a daily closure below that region. However, if this thing can close above $200, I do look for it to play back up towards your prior daily range highs at 230, and then above there, that's your macro very good. We can start to talk about prior all-time highs and new all-time highs and all that good stuff that we all love. Moving on to Avalanche, very interesting one over here, a strong one. So we hit our target the day prior at 110, and then we said very likely extension towards 115 to 120-ish region. So far, high of today is 117 and a quarter. Great, that's awesome, good. But for right now, again, until this thing actually does take out 128 to the upside on a daily closure, we're just seeing a range right here. And yes, we can test all the way up into there. That being 120 to 125 region, no problem. But nothing really changes here until this thing actually closes back above 128. Make no mistake about it, this one, just like Solana, are showing relative strength, and Ethereum to a lesser extent. So I found that these charts are a little bit more interesting here. Obviously, problems below $96.50, our same breakout area from the day prior, or sorry, a few days prior. Below there, I do look for another run at the prior lows of the range in the mid to low 80s. Until that happens, sideways within this region is good, but can't get too excited as long as we're below 128. And above 128, probably looking at new highs to be fair as well. Another strong one, relatively strong one that is Luna, Terra Luna right here. So we've been speaking about this one as well. We said very likely a test back up to the top side of the range at 73 to 75 region. So far we have a high today of 73.37. This one's very interesting right now. In fact, if you do see a daily closure basically above this $73 region. Did I say 37 or 73? It's 73. Just hopefully that's very clear. If we do see a daily closure above that region, this one will look very good for yet again another retest of prior all-time highs over the next week, and very likely new all-time highs in the weeks after that. We see daily RSI back in the bullish control zone. We see daily volatility ticking up. My jewel over here is also ticking up as well. Just want to see it close above that range. Obviously still problems below $52, but that's not really relevant for right now. This one's showing some relative strength and probably one of the more short-term impressive charts in cryptocurrency land. Another strong one, Matic, playing out its same range as before, but again, this is, it's unsexy trading, but it's effective. We said very likely a bounce up of 180, and I'm bullish as long as we're above there. It's just another higher low. We have hidden bullish evidence right there. Beautiful. Just want to see this one close above 230, and I would be looking for another run at the highs of this rally, 250 to 260-ish region, then very likely new highs after that towards $3 or whatever the number is, probably like 320 or whatever. We'll come to that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. But overall, another more relatively strong chart, we'll say, and mostly a sea of red this past week. So again, 230, the area to beat. Above there, hey, we can start talking about prior highs and beyond. All right, let's move on to the next one. Aave. Interesting one here, but a lot of people requested this one in the last few days. Now, I was actually charting this one on my own streams. Now, long-term, I'm not a humongous fan of this whole formation right here. It does look quite weak. However, if you are just looking at the daily ranges, closing back above about 208, and I would look for a rather impressive rally up into the 240-ish region or so, and then come back to it after that. Until then, still, I don't want to be the first person to call a reversal before it actually happens. Above 208 on a daily closure, I would look for the next big move. Until then, I would still wait on this one, to be fair. And then let's move on to our last one. This one's symbol QNT, Quant. Versus the dollar, same thing over here. Very weak price action. Whenever you see something like this is called rolling over. This is not good. Yes, you typically will get a bounce around your prior major lows, but it's typically just that. Anyways, I would call a decent reversal with a daily closure above about 240. Yeah, about 240 on this one. Again, it's nowhere near current price action, and obviously big problems on a daily closure below about 163 in this case for probably new lows towards 140-ish region. Until then, definitely one that, well, I'll just leave that one standard as it is. Got some work to do, we'll say. So I think we've kind of beat this horse to death in this video. Hopefully we're not killing too many horses over here. We shouldn't be killing any horses, actually. We should be appreciating horses because they're actually quite beautiful. In fact, every time that I walk to get coffee, there's like these horses that always hang out in the dog park. I don't know what the hell's going on over there, but they're really nice creatures, actually. Anyways, I enjoy petting them. All right, I'm talking too much now. I need to sign off. I want to wish you well. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.